so sorry about that interruption. I knew it was going to happen intuitively. Oh, hey, how's it going? I am so sorry about that interruption. I knew it was going to happen. And unfortunately, I had to pick up that call. So thank you for bearing with me. I'm not going to start all over if that's okay. Hopefully that vibes with you. I'll leave both the intro up and then just as we're moving forward, but I would love to dive right into it. So overarching energy, we are getting this manta ray energy, and the manta ray is about peace and calm. It's about tranquility. I love the energy. It reminds me a lot of the King of Cups, right? Like being able to navigate the flows of this water energy, this watery season. Like I mentioned, I'm going to repeat myself a little bit just in case you don't want to watch the introduction on the other video. But we're going to be going into Mercury retrograde on Thursday, depending on where you're located, February 26th. It's dealing with relationships, how harmonious they are, whether they are working for our benefit or not. Something is taking a long time to come around, moving at a snail's pace. It does, what I do like about this energy is it does give us a certain level of consistency, right? And steadfastness, the ability to kind of zero in, hone in on what our goals, what our ideas, what our vision is. And I feel like we need to have both of those energies present right now in our life, in our environment, being fluid and flexible, but also focused on where we're headed, right? Like what the end goal is. And then as we're kind of navigating the things that are getting thrown our way, that's where we're making those readjustments. Beginning of the week, I like the energy because, as I mentioned before, we have more positive transits. I'm holding this upside down, sorry. We have more positive transits, things that are actually supporting us. And as much as there might be some energies lurking, some kind of negative energies is what I'm picking up. With this mountain lion, it's a very solitary energy. Also, it just reminds me of like someone waiting and watching their prey is what I kept hearing. You might be dealing with an energy like that in your own life, whether that's a person or you feel like you're just kind of stuck in something that has a lot of limitation around it, that feels maybe suffocating on some level. But like I said, it's a lot of where we're seeing the tension beginning of the week is more our own frustration with what's not working, what we want to happen, and it hasn't quite manifested yet, right? And so I feel like there's these things around that make it feel like it's almost like let me think about this. Let me think this through before I say, okay. Like you feel responsible for someone or something. Even if you don't like the energy, there's this part of you that's like, you feel this responsibility to like manage it or handle it or always try to renegotiate, finding harmony, finding balance. You might not necessarily have that this week because in the blocked energy is the fog. So there is a lot of cloudiness. There is a lot of a lot of questions that are left unanswered is what I'm hearing. And that makes a lot of sense, especially as we are moving into Mercury retrograde, right? It's when communication gets wonky. It's when it's harder, to understand. It's harder to, especially when we're coming at it from very different angles, is what I'm hearing. I feel like you're trying to find your peace and your safety this week. It's really weird because beginning of the week, you do have someone or something that is watching over you. There's an energy of disappointment, but also like a refusal to make things right. You know, it's just someone who kind of wants to watch how you're moving, how you're managing things in the background, whether or not, like, I almost feel like going back to what I was saying earlier with this mountain lion, they're taking inventory, taking information, watching how you're doing things, how you're moving things, trying to guess and gauge maybe what they can get out of you, what the response might be. They're not, whatever this is refusing to kind of find. This to me feels like a peace offering is what I was hearing. 2 of Cups. It's the start of something. It's something that has hope and positivity when it's in its strongest vibration. And it doesn't necessarily mean it's a done deal. This is something that you build and grow on. But this is being blocked beginning of the week. And it's heavily connected back to this mountain lion, 5 of Cups energy. Someone, something who can't get their attention off the past. Knight of Wands pops up for us, who can, again, just be pretty arrogant and, excuse me, struggling to be flexible. There's a lot of calculation going on beginning of the week. And I think you can feel this energy because, again, where we're getting the stress, the resistance, the moon tensely aspected to Mercury, the moon tensely aspected to the fortune point, Neptune in opposition to the vertex point, people not wanting to deal with what they know the outcome of this thing is going to be. Very interesting. So we have the 2 of Cups and we have the Lovers. And these are similar energies, but obviously the Lovers is like way more committed. So let's see what this is all about for you. Okay. King of Swords. Someone deliberating, taking inventory, weighing the pros and cons. King of Swords, Queen of Swords, but they're not on the same page. If this is you operating in a partnership, it doesn't have to be love. It can be any type. I mean, we have the 10 of Pentacles, which represents home, family, etc. But these are people who are just like not on the same page. And there's like a real inability to find that balance. And we're seeing this even with our closer, intimate relationships. Again, I was talking about on the initial video how with this Mercury in retrograde, it is highlighting where people are like fake friends or frenemies, or, you know, maybe saying one thing to your face to placate whatever they need, and then going behind your back, doing something else, etc., not able to follow through on what they initially agreed to. And I'm seeing this is where some of the frustration is coming into play. I don't know about you because as we've seen over the past few weeks, it feels like you're growing a lot in your strength, in your endurance. There's a lot up in the air, so anytime we're in like thick fog, it's really hard to see through clearly. That's where our intuition is playing such a huge role right now, especially because of that heightened intuition with Pisces season. Also Mercury retrograde, but Mercury retrograde can be a little bit paranoid. So that's what we have to make sure that like we're actually picking up, believing truth and not like a fear or an anxiety, worst case scenario, that type of vibe. And it might be hard to not think or feel that way because Maybe someone that you normally have really good synergy with, it's just not working. It's just not working. Opposite pages, not able to kind of come together. There's disappointment, but bottom line, and as I'm saying this, I think we got this in our weekly couples love reading. Check it out. I've been doing it on the shorts on Sunday. But this Knight of Wands energy, like a lot of immaturity. So when we can't communicate, when we have a hard time expressing what our wants and needs are in difficult relationship dynamics, it can bring out immaturity, right? Instead of maybe saying what we think, what we feel. The Queen of Swords pops up again for us. Needing to take a more diplomatic approach. Temperance, not letting it bother you so much, right? Easier said than done. But here's the thing. That's going to be your key to success, especially during this Mercury retrograde. And I see you kind of taking this stance, this position of making sure that you're protecting yourself, that you're taking care of yourself. You're putting your wants and needs first. Clownfish and anemone, sorry. They're, they need each other, essentially. They need each other in order to sustain, in order to survive. And maybe that's where this disconnect is coming into play with whatever this dynamic is. As Mercury goes into retrograde, we're feeling it on that emotional level. And emotions are pretty heightened midweek. I don't know that... I think this is more annoyances. I feel like this is more annoyances of whatever you're dealing with. Because, again, it's so hard not to pick up the disconnect. The disconnect of, like, how much easier it would be to have that honest conversation, where that would get you with whomever, whatever this is. Because there is a lot of potential here. But maybe something's not really willing to start from the beginning. Because again, Two of Cups is more of a beginning energy, seeing what this dynamic could actually be or look like. Temperance comes out again for us. So we have to recognize, I don't know, this is a hard energy. And I feel like this kind of goes back to what I was talking about in the very beginning. Remaining open, fluid, flexible, and maintaining your own peace and calm. Again, that can be a little bit hard to do when we don't have a lot of clarity, when we are kind of, shooting in the dark, so to speak. Sorry if that's an annoying metaphor, but that can make us crazy, right? Like if we let the anxiety feed... If we feed the anxiety, if we feed the fear, and we stress ourselves out, this is going to it's going to have a bigger effect, right? And we're already kind of in a phase in the astrology where there's a lot reshuffling. We just started our eclipse season. Four of Pentacles, Knight of Swords. This is like feeling the need to self-protect. I don't know if you have to self-protect. Maybe that's how it feels because of this temperance energy. Because again, as we're moving into Mercury retrograde, it's highlighting where there is disharmony, disconnect in our relationships. And I don't know, someone is self-protecting. Here's the thing. It's like whatever you're dealing with, there is an exchange. You guys need each other, whatever that means. It doesn't have to specifically be another person. It can even just be like, I need this job right now. It might not be my ideal job, but we have to temper the force of emotion in this time, making sure that we're not getting too, excuse me, it's not even arrogant, but it's just Like sometimes we just need to be patient. Sometimes we just have to actually follow that linear path forward. Do the things that might be or feel a little bit humbling. And I'm going to clarify this. I'm going to put this back in. Let me keep pulling. I want to clarify this Sun tensely aspected to Black Moon Lilith. A lot of this is playing against our ego, you know, and ego is really hard, especially when we are in relationships, right? Like we want people to be on our side, on our team. And when people don't understand, that just makes it harder, more difficult. It's the same cycle. There's a lot of like patterns replaying themselves. And that's where the difficulty is. Nothing's really changing. And so I don't know that it's necessarily about you. Let me see if it's about a different approach. I want to clarify that. Maybe it is another, oh, sorry, Queen of Cups. I forgot to hold that up. Queen of Cups. Ace of Swords. And, okay, the Page of Pentacles. Oh, Three of Pentacles. I don't know. There's just a lot of resistance. It's a lot of resistance. It's like someone needs their ego to be validated. Someone needs it to be about them in order to work harmoniously together. And again, like I said, it's frustrating because you do need something or someone to some capacity. You need it for your next steps forward. I think it's really hard to listen to intuition, but that's really what Spirit's pointing you in the direction of this week. I want to see how this is playing. I'm going to clarify this Tower real quick. Someone's making a decision. That's the thing. It's really frustrating, right? Because someone is making a decision that it feels like backlash. It feels like, again, this immature decision. There we go, the devil. He's been popping up for us a lot lately. And it feels really manipulative. I really like the way they show this in this deck. I don't know if you guys can see it, but the heart has a lot of strings on it, and he's like playing with those heart strings. And that's exactly what this energy reminds me of. It's something that's incredibly indecisive. It's, and they just, not only are they indecisive, but when you give them what they want, they're not happy. But when you don't give them what they want, they're not happy. There's just a lot of like, I don't think you can win. And I don't even feel like you're trying to. Honestly, I feel like you're just taking it as it comes this week. And that goes back, well, I think that was in the first video, so I apologize. But the energy that I was picking up is just that you're moving through it, like step by step. Not making a lot of plans in this moment in time because you do have to see what's kind of put in your path. And I think there's a lot of obstacles right now. I don't feel like we're dipping back into some of the places where it's been incredibly stressful. It feels like you do have a better handle on it, but maintaining your peace and calm is really going to be the name of the game. And I think this is also specifically for Mercury retrograde over the next month. Like I mentioned, it's going to be throughout the whole season of Pisces. And Pisces is already pretty emotional of an energy. So if we're already having disharmony, disconnect in our relationships, not understanding each other, a lack of willingness, but that's part of what you're being called to pay attention to with this conch shell. Taking time, really strengthening your intuition, your connection with your intuition. The best ways to do this is through meditation or some type of active, prayer, quieting of the mind. I'm a huge fan of transcendental meditation, meditation with a mantra, any breathing technique, whatever really helps like stabilize your nervous system. Because I feel like that's where some of this stuff is getting lost in translation. Spirit needs you to hear a little bit more clearly. It's hard to do so, though, because it's, again, met with a lot of resistance. But when you get sucked into that resistance, that's what makes it incredibly hard to not be able to, like, maintain that peace and calm, right? All right, let's see how the end of the week is playing out for us. Let me bring up my... Oops, darn it. Press the wrong button. All right, well, it's nice, actually. We have a good finish to the week. Again, like, emotions are high, but this is a practice of, like, really honoring self. Not, and we've talked a lot about this, not I'm hearing not taking responsibility for someone else's stuff, for someone else's inability to handle things appropriately. This is a situation that you are reflecting on. I think it's something that you're reflecting on because of what's happened. Like, because of what gets said. Midweek, like I said, we have this devil. We have the tower. And it's interesting because it's followed off this energy of, like, maybe this is a conversation. Maybe this is a conversation that actually goes really well, that brings potential, like hope, you know? But someone can't, I don't know. There's just like someone can't handle it is what I want to say. That's what I'm hearing. Making some excuses. I want to clarify this a little bit more. Hey, girl. It's so good to see you, Karen. I'm so glad. I think it's so important to be intentional about being kind to ourselves, giving ourselves grace. When we do that, like, it actually, yes, it helps eliminate a lot of the stress, especially around these situations where we do feel some amount of responsibility, or like we have to, like, appease other people, make things okay to keep things good and positive and up and running. But this is intentional conflict. Like, that's what I keep seeing. Something, it's like intentionally trying to make chaos. And whether they're aware of it or not, I know not, right? Everyone's situation is going to be different. But it feels like someone who doesn't really want to be aware, they just want to keep doing what they're doing. And so, Karen, when you're talking about, like, taking care of ourselves, that's exactly where we build that strong foundation of peace and calm. That's where we're able to not get so affected by people doing whatever they're going to do. Because, again, there is this element of needing each other to whatever capacity that is right now. And I don't say that in annoyance or offense. I'm not saying that we should ever put ourselves in situations that are harmful, that are toxic. But also being mindful about, like, again, just like Karen was saying, like, what your own wants and needs are first. Investing in that in self first. Because then things are going to become more clear. Even if they're not very clear right now, maybe not for the next month. I feel like we're going to move through this time where, again, there's a lot of stuff up on the reevaluation board. Does that make sense? I don't know. Things to be reevaluated in your life. And I think things will get clearer as we move through this time. To me, I feel like Mercury retrograde is going to be just making sure we're not moving so quickly. When things do come up, take note of it, of how people are acting, how they're behaving. I see a lot of drama, you know, like it's like things move along and then nothing happens and then there's drama and then things move along and then there's more drama. And that's what it looks like. Like maybe not beginning of the week, but as you're moving towards the end of the week, someone is creating drama. Again, out of this goal to manipulate or make things hard and difficult. Nothing new. And then it's like, there's a little bit of balance, but then there's more drama again, you know? So it feels a little repetitive. It is cyclical. That's part of the frustration and annoyance. I'm also hearing for you, that's where it's like good to not take responsibility, right? Like, yes, take responsibility for your own stuff, but whomever, whatever this is that's trying to force you into taking responsibility for their things, well, that's what you got to keep pushing through, right? Not turn a blind eye, acknowledge it, be aware of it. I think you are, but I think you're also trying to figure out how to deal with this energy. Again, there's a lot of back and forth. There's a lot of imbalance, maybe even imbalance in power. Again, not that you're trying to be the person on top, but whatever you're dealing with is the blessing of letting go. I love this. Free yourself from negative entanglements by letting go of emotional ties, beliefs, and outdated ways of thinking that no longer serve you. You have the power. That which you let go will transform into an endless blessing. I really love that energy. It's so true. And we forget that, you know. I mean, I know in my own life I've been practicing that art of surrender, especially the places that fear and anxiety can get the best of me or whatever, right? And the fear, anxiety, it never gets you further, you know, it just kind of perpetuates more of the same thinking, more of the same fear, the negativity, right? And we're actually like pretty supported, in my opinion, right? I feel like we just did a reading about that at the channel, but you know, like spirit is here to support us. The universe has our back. Sometimes it's hard to see that because of what's going on in our surroundings, but also another tactic I feel like this person's situation might be using, a little bit of bullying, fear-mongering. We've kind of talked about this as well. The blessing of meditation. This is beautiful. Again, confirmation on where and how we find our peace and calm. Your window of perception is cleansed, and for a moment you see life as it truly is, infinite and eternal. Meditation will help you rise above any situation and event and see things clearly. What usually seems chaotic and disorderly can seem the opposite. Know there is divine order in your life. I think this is one of my favorite parts of meditation, especially transcendental meditation, because it really realigns the mind, the body, the soul. And I know for myself, when I come into more intense situations or someone's trying to pick or provoke or I'm exhausted and grumpy and like whatever, it really helps me maintain that peace and calm. We don't often take a lot of intentional time to quiet our mind, our body, our soul. And as I'm saying that, I'm thinking exactly of what you were saying, Karen, of just like taking time to invest in ourselves, right? Like be good to yourself. And the way we do that is through self-love, is through self-care, is through taking those moments where we can be quiet and calm and still and find the peace within. Life doesn't really promote that nowadays, you know. We can be going, and I'm not harping, I love to be doing things all the time. Like I am, if I could not sleep, I mean, I love my sleep, but like I would definitely go all day, every day, if I could fill my time with as much as I possibly could. I like that. I'm curious, you know, life has a lot to offer, you know, but it's not good for us, right? And I think we're just so overstimulated in modern culture that we have so many different things kind of working against us. And that's where the beauty of meditation, if that's your vibe, prayer, journaling, whatever is peaceful and calm. I really also want to promote like an active process of emptying our mind, so to speak. Not that you can't have, that you can't have thoughts, but more that value of calming and quieting the mind versus like activating it. Maybe, and I'm saying that because maybe sometimes journaling's a little activating, which is good. It's a good thing to do too. It helps us see through the fog a little bit more clearly, right? When we do that journaling. But any intentional time we spend with ourselves, any mode of opening the door to our awareness, to our perception, understanding ourselves on a deeper level is so nurturing and supportive. And again, it gives us the ability to maintain that peace and calm through our life. A blessing from your soul. You are a beautiful soul full of infinite wisdom. Stop judging and start loving yourself. You are blessed with endless potential and on the verge of transforming into a radiant being that is your true essence. Shine your light and allow this blessing into your heart. I love that. We so need that, right? We need that reminder. And I feel like that's really where Spirit is asking you to go this week. Four of Swords is a card of meditations. Again, confirming where we need those times of peace and calm. It's going to help connect us with our intuition a little bit more so that we can find clarity through some of this mess, especially because I feel like a lot of what's being triggered this week is like the knee-jerk reaction might be F you, or I don't want to deal with this, or this is like, whatever. And yeah, maybe you can do that. Maybe you can. It might add more stress and burden. And I feel like that's kind of where Spirit's really asking you to have some forethought. Yes, it looks like even if you do take the high road, there might be a change up of energy. We're seeing that with the Tower, with the Devil, Five of Wands. But I feel like there's something about your empowerment when you're making the choice out of reaction because of someone else's bad behavior versus like out of your own strength and stability and empowerment. And that's where that variance comes into play. And that's why it's so important to really just like honor, nurture yourself in whatever way. Make sure that you're carving time out for yourself every day. Ayurveda is huge into daily routine. And it actually is like really empowering. Like I said, I love to do a bajillion things. And what I love about Ayurveda is it is like maximum efficiency, minimum effort. When we're kind of plugging things into a systematic way, it really helps us like open up more time, more energy for ourselves, instead of running around like a chicken with our head cut off, which I feel like sometimes the modern world definitely lends to, And again, like we need some of those things. We need that inspiration. We need the drive. We need the motivation. But we also need to make sure that we're not doing things out of regurgitation or habit or reaction, but more because it's actually what our intuition is telling us to do this week. And I feel like the bottom line is recognition of who you are, the beauty of what your soul deserves, and actually honoring yourself with that this week. And that can be difficult in the face of this type of energy. But I feel like as soon as you recognize it, as soon as you're aware of it, as soon as you can see, oh, we're going to go down this road again, it's easier to be like, okay, I'm going to pump the brakes, or I'm going to make adjustments within myself. Even if I don't know where that's going to lead us, it's still honoring and protecting yourself, putting yourself first, continuing to cultivate that strong foundation for yourself. So, all right. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed the reading. I'm so sorry for the mishap earlier. I super appreciate, though, especially if you came back around, Karen. Thank you. I hope you guys found messages that resonated for you here. I love to hear. I love to connect with community. It's always exciting just to hear what's going on in your world. It's fun to hear how these messages resonate, or just the exciting, fabulous things, or, you know, just even things that you're learning, things that you're growing through. I think it's beautiful to establish community and awareness of self, and collective energy is such a powerful and magnificent thing. And, you know, maybe I'm a little bit of a cheeseball, but I think it can totally heal the world. And that's what I'm all about here, right? Like finding ways to be better versions of ourselves so we can live in more harmony. It's probably a pie in the sky idea, concept, but that is my heart always. So thank you for joining in on that. I so appreciate you. Just all the blessing, all the support that you bring my way into the channel. No, it blesses my heart so much. I'm sending that love and blessings back to you. I will be live this week for weekly check-in, midweek check-in, and then I don't know if I'll go live for the Mercury retrograde reading, but I'll definitely try to post something by Thursday, by the 26th, so stay tuned. All right, have a fabulous evening, lots of love, lots of blessings.